to deliver the welcome address.
Thank you, Jayesh. Am I audible to all?
Yes, sir. We
Yes.
can hear.
Thank you. Coming together is a beginning. Keeping together is a progress, and working together is a success. A very good morning to all the dignitaries and faculties and my dear students. It gives me immense pleasure in extend my warm greetings to every one of you on behalf of Department of Business Administration, SRM Institute of Science and Technology, Vadapalli campus. It's a great privilege and honor for me to welcome you all to this international webinar on the topic impact of COVID-19 on micro, small, medium enterprises and its revival strategies. At the outset, I would like to welcome the great academician, our director and great educationist, our beloved director of SRM IST, Vadapalli campus, Dr. K. Subura, who is going to deliver his presidential address for this occasion. I am also delightful to welcome our resource person for the day, Dr. E. Suresh, Professor in Economics, Department of Business Studies, University of Applied Science and Technology, Salalah, Sultanate of Oman, who is going to deliver the keynote address for today's session. I would also like to welcome my faculties and my dear students for today's occasion. As the famous says goes, give a man fish and you feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish and you feed him for a lifetime. B, Department of Business Administration, train our students with a lot of professional and communication skills through webinar like this, which enable our students not only to be the job seekers, but the creators. And we also mold them as a major global leaders in diversified areas, which commensurate with dynamic global scenario for the benefit of mankind. I do believe that the webinar, I think this webinar may fulfill all my faith and belief. I take this opportunity to welcome you all once again to this occasion. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. A dream doesn't become reality through magic. It takes sweat, determination, and hard work. Justifying the above words, we have a dynamic leader amongst us. Our most respected director academics, Dr. K. Subram sir, who has been the resource of inspiration to a large number of students. May I now request our director to deliver the presidential address.
Yes, thank you. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, okay. Our distinguished professor, Dr. E. Suresh, Assistant Professor of Economics, University of Technology and Applied Science, Oman, Head of the Department of Business Administration, faculty members, beloved students. As the HOD has pointed out now, we always encourage us to improve the quality of education and as well as to bring international exposure to our students. This seminar, particularly post-COVID impact on MSME, is a very vital topic now. It is a global topic. Everywhere there is a cash crunch. Everywhere there is a problem for liquidity, acute cash crunch, all this shortfall in business, and workforce has been reduced in a lot of enterprises. So this is a very vital topic. It's a global topic which the students should know about it. And we are fortunate to have an international professor from the University of Technology and Applied Science, Oman, and a very dynamic person. I have seen his profile. And the purpose of this type of seminar is to have global exposure to our students, SRM students. That is a purpose. I used to encourage this type of seminar. I request all the HODs also to arrange for this type of seminar so that the students should be benefited. That is the purpose of coming to the college. Otherwise, all these subjects they can study, they can sit in the home and then do even correspondence also. But so exposure is a very, very important topic. Then coming to this aspect, the topic, MSM. MSM, you know, this MSM association in India, recently they have started that due to shortfall in business, MSME failed acute cash crunch and needed immediate liquidity. That is the immediate requirement for MSME in India. I don't know about the other countries. I think our professor will explain in detail. And in India, 25% of MSME loans slip into default. That is the status now. So they slip into default. They find it difficult to repay the loan. And it is tough to draw working capital. That is another issue most of the enterprises are facing now. They're difficult to have capital, working capital from banks. And even if the bank to extend the credit facility, they find it difficult. The banks, the Reserve Bank of India and other banks are also extending the credit facilities for this MSME, but they find it difficult to carry out the business. So this micro, small, medium enterprises contribute a third of India's gross domestic product, GDP. That is almost 30% or 29% of our GDP. That is third of India's gross domestic product, GDP, has been contributed by this MSME. So we cannot ignore this because this is playing a very major role in business environment. And I used to say that the students should understand the business environment, the global business environment. And here, it also, this MSME provide employment to over 110 million workers. See that vast volume of employment. 110 million workers are being placed there, MSME. And these firms retain, now after this post-COVID, these MSM firms retain only 44% of the workforce. So you think of the remaining percentage, only 44 they are retaining the workforce. So what happened to the employability or unemployment problem, the youth, how they are finding it difficult, workers, they find it difficult. This is another issue the MSM is facing. And 69% of the MSME firms, they have the inability to survive longer than 3 months. After the post-COVID, most of the MSME, they find it difficult to even pay the salary for 3 months after this post-COVID. So 69% of the firms, they find it difficult. And in July 2021, this year, Indian government has announced a lot of stimulus packages. The government is also, government of India and state government, they are doing a lot of help to this MSME. They're doing a lot of stimulus packages. What? To strengthen the sector and boost economic growth. So that is a purpose behind it. So, but in spite of all these stimulus packages to strengthen the sector and boost economic growth, this MSME, they find it difficult to survive also. Now, International MSME Day 2021, the theme of this day, International MSME Day. Here, the key to an inclusive and sustainable recovery. That is the theme. International MSME Day 2021. You see the theme. The key to an inclusive and sustainable recovery. That is a very, very vital area they have to concentrate. Everything should be inclusive and it should sustain. Otherwise, the recovery, if it is a very short-term period of recovery, then it is difficult. Then MSME Revive Package, when you see 20,000 crore equity support have been released by Government of India to for the stressed and NPA MSME. And it was approved by the Union Government also, Union Cabinet also. And then a lot of changes they are bringing. Bring a revolution in MSME, in digitization. Everything is to be digital. That is also playing a very major role. This digitization to promote cashless economy. I think the students of business administration and the faculty members and the professors should know about the importance to promote the cashless economy. So that is also, the digitization is also playing a major role in recovering this problem, this MSME industry, and the technology adoption to streamline operation. Lot of technology adoption. I think professors will know, the students should try to understand what is technology adoption in business administration to streamline the operation. This is another aspect we have to see for revival of this industry. Apart from all these things, I used to insist in almost all the meeting skill development, skill development, skill development. Very, very vital topic. Training to 2 lakh unemployed youth per year is planned by Indian government for this MSME industry. Training for 2 lakh unemployed youth per year. So the skill development, even new education policy 2021, they give importance for skill development. I used to insist in almost all the meeting. I think the faculty members, the student shop, business administration should know about it, the school importance of skill development everywhere. That is the purpose here. I request all the students, right from first year or second year, you try to concentrate on skill development program. I used to say skill cannot be developed in overnight. I'll tell you one example. In Indian students, right from LKG to MBA or MA or whatever maybe, it took more than 16 years to complete the education, right from LKG to MA or MBA, whatever the postgraduate degree. After this, he thinks that I have spent more than 16 years to learn that I have learned nothing. A very pathetic condition. The reason is we don't concentrate on skill development. We give importance only for our degrees. We give importance only for our curriculum. That is the routine activities what we are carrying out in all our education institutions. But I request the students should have this interest, skill development, and they have to concentrate on developing the skills. I used to say knowledge can be acquired through classroom or through learning teaching environment, but skill cannot be acquired. Skill should be developed. So in this MSME also, skill development is playing major role. Now Indian government is planning to train 2 lakh people, unemployed youth per year, so that we will have skilled employees and the production also will improve. So these are all the important points. I think more than, I'm not the subject expert in this, but anyhow, these are all the areas I want to insist, and then our professor, Sir Dr. Suresh, will throw more light on these things, and so that it will be useful for you. And with these few words, I take this opportunity to wish you all success in your future endeavor. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your thought-provoking speech. Our speaker of the event, Dr. E. Suresh, sir, is a multifaceted personality. He has very rich experience in the field of economics. He holds a doctoral degree in the same field. He is currently working for the University of Technology and Applied Science, Salalah, Sultanate of Oman. He has more than a decade of teaching experience. He has served as a resource person for a number of international conferences and has delivered a number of lectures and as keynote speaker. He has published a number of articles in international journals and presented a number of papers in India and abroad. It is a pleasure to have you with us, sir. Now I invite Dr. E. Suresh, sir, to address the audience.
Thank you. Thank you for your words. I'm audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. A very good and pleasant morning to one and all present here. Really, it's a great honor and gives me an immense pleasure to deliver a keynote address in our reputed institution. First of all, I would like to thank the management to invite me for this wonderful occasion. Next, I would like to thank most respected Dr. K. Subramanian, sir, Director Academics. I think my age is his experience in academics, maybe more than that. Your words are really great, sir. And next, I would like to thank most respected Dean, Dr. K. Anandabadmanabhan. And next, I would like to thank my dearest friend, Dr. N. Marianan, head of the Department of Business Administration, and faculty members of Business Administration. And last but not the least, my beloved students. I thank very much to invite and giving me this wonderful opportunity to deliver my keynote address. So today, we are going to Just a minute, sir. Let me share my screen. Everyone, is it visible?
I think so. It's visible, sir.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Actually, myself and Dr. Marian, and we were planning to conduct a webinar like this, but due to some academic works, I couldn't give the date. Finally, the day has come. So I'm very happy to deliver my keynote address here. Just a minute, sir, please. Yeah. Yes. So today I'm going to talk about the impact of COVID-19 on MSMEs and strategies for revival. So before entering into the topic, dear students, can you please tell me what is MSME? Have you heard this word before? Just I want to interact with the students. So, monotalk is useless. I just want to interact with the students. So I just would like to ask, what is MSME? Since you are first year students and from the background of business administration, you must know everyone what is MSME is. So anyone, can you please tell me? Yeah, please go ahead. As you know that MSME, micro, small and medium enterprise sector, is the buttress of the Indian economy. It has been emanating as the most vibrant and dynamic segment having high growth potential. So even though we are agricultural based country, so nowadays in the manufacturing sector, in the business sector, we are growing. So it's a most vibrant and dynamic segment having high growth potential. So it is considered as the growth engine of the national economic environment. So nowadays it is growing as backbone of the Indian economy. So since 1960, the MSME segment has been flourishing considerably with an average yearly growth rate of about 10%. It constitutes.
Dr. Suresh, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, sorry for the interruption. All the students are under mute actually.
Okay.
Will, if they want to chat anything, they'll put it in the chat box. And Mr. Srimati from our department will ask you the doubt at last, sir.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
So as I already said, since 1960, the MSME segment has been flourishing considerably with an average yearly growth rate of about 10%. That means it constitutes beyond 90% of the total industrial units in most of the economies. Around 49% of MSMEs are located in urban areas, and remaining the 51% are situated in rural areas, thereby promoting the equitable and sustainable development. So whatever it is, there should be some equal. So 49% in urban areas, that means in city based areas, and 51% are situated in rural based areas. The sector is currently employing, as already Dr. K. Subramanian sir told, that the sector is currently employing over 110 million people, which is nearly 40% of the Indian workforce in more than 63 million establishments dispersed across the geographical expanse of the nation. So this is the data of MSME ministry. As per the MSME ministry data, as of May 16, 2021, at present, India has approximately 6.3 crores MSMEs. That means more than 63 million establishments. So at present, we have in India. The MSME sectors contributes to a tune of 29.7% of Indian GDP. So in Indian GDP, nearly 29.7%, the MSME sector contributed towards the gross domestic product, including 6.11% of manufacturing sector and around 24.63% of service sector. So in Indian GDP, from the manufacturing sector, there is 6.11% and around 24.63% of service sector of the GDP in Indian economy. MSMEs are the source of 33.4% of the total manufacturing output and 45% of the overall exports in India. So whatever the goods and services exporting by government of India or Indian government or Indian people, nearly it is 45% from MSMEs. Nearly it also produces over 6,000 products. And next, according to DGCIS data, Directorate of General of Commercial Intelligence and Statistics, the value of MSMEs related to related products in India is $1,47,390 million and contributed 48.56% of total exports during 2017 and 2018. The MSME is exposed to high level of integration with the global value, and supply chains are playing a critical role in global trade systems. The data from 2019 shows that sector contributed nearly 29% to overall GDP. So next, we will discuss the impact of COVID-19 on MSMEs. So this is the status of the MSMEs in India. And now we are going to discuss about what are the impacts because of COVID-19, the pandemic, on MSMEs. Of course, it affected all over field, all over sector, all over world, but we are focusing on particularly on MSMEs, how it is affected. Mankind is battling with the COVID-19. Of course, we are fighting with the COVID-19 pandemic. This virus is mounting a very serious threat to the global economy, not only for Indian economy, my dear students. So it is a very serious threat to all over the international economy, global economy as well, which is already grave in peril. There is no doubt that the Indian economy, of course, it is affecting the world economy, and there is no exemption of the Indian economy, which is already sputtering, is growing at one of the lowest rates in the last 6 years. And now a new set of economic challenges unleashed by this virus is leaving many sectors in tatters. The COVID-19 has left its impact on all sectors of the economy, but now is hurt as much as the micro, small, and medium enterprises. Of course, I already said that it has affected global economy, it has affected overall sector, but it's more affected the business, MSMEs, micro, small, and medium enterprises of India. All anecdotal evidence available, such as the hundreds of thousands of standard workers, suggest that MSMEs have been the worst casualty of COVID-19, included lockdown. We have seen directly how the people affected during the pandemic. Many of our relatives, yeah, we lost the jobs, they lost their lives even. Okay, so this is the worst case in pandemic. Lockdown in India has led to various issues ranging from shrinkage of exports, cessation of production, non-availability of manpower, the uncertainty of consumption, and a liquidity squeeze in the market as well. As our Dr. Raghuram, Subram sir told that we need a liquidity cash to survive in the business, to sustain in the business. But during the pandemic, many of the businessmen, they do not have money in their hand as liquidity. According to the Confederation of All India Traders, CAIT, which represents 70 million traders in India, and the majority of them are MSMEs. Because the large industries already they have more money and they can survive even though there is no business for long, 1 or 2 months. But the most affected sector is MSMEs. The trade impact for India is estimated to be around rupees 380 lakh. Micro, small and medium enterprises is a sector which was already reeling under huge distress because of prolonged economic slowdown, demonetization, and GST. Now, the pandemic is also includes with that. Now, finally, for the biggest of all, COVID-19, which has aggravated the crisis in this specific sector further. Already all these things affected the MSME, and now finally the COVID-19 also include in that. So now we are going to discuss how it is impacted in the MSMEs. The first one, the income for businesses has reduced substantially due to a fall in demand. As you know that, as a business student, we should know for each and every thing, first of all, we need a demand. If there is demand, there will be a supply. If there is no demand, how the people, how the suppliers will supply the goods and services. So during the pandemic, the demand fell down. You can see the figure. I don't want to focus on the figure, but since you are the first student, I will just explain the theoretical point of view. Fewer customer footfalls amid lockdown. The reduction in customer footfall was uniform across enterprises owned by men and women. So in India, men and women, they are running MSMEs. So 39% of enterprises were not able to restock as per the demand, largely due to a reduction in supply. They couldn't. They were not able to restock as per the demand because, as our director sir told that we did not have the liquidity fund in our hand. Okay. Restocking is a bigger issue in rural areas. Restocking is a bigger issue in rural areas compared to urban areas, where 85% of enterprises have not able been to restock. Enterprises that reported a decrease in volume of supply also reported a median of a 50% reduction in household income during the lockdown. So one of the medical shop owner, he revealed his view. My shop is open and business is running, but the footfall has gone drastically. Everyone is afraid that the police will beat them up if they step out during the lockdown. We have seen directly. If any of the people come out from their home, they will be beaten by police. Only those who desperately need medicines, they visit my shop. Because the elder people, we cannot avoid them. We must give them medicine. So those who are in very, very emergency, those who desperately need medicines, they visit the medical shop. Sales are down by more than 75% since last month. Retailers are demanding tea, but I'm unable to supply to them as transport option or not available. This is means the statement given by a female tea distributor from a semi-urban area. The sales, it declined more than 75%. The retailers, they are demanding tea, but the tea distributor, she was not able to supply to them as transport option or not available. We know that during the lockdown, all the public transportation was stopped. So how we can supply to the necessary people? The second one, disrupted supply chains have further affected income. Supply chains. Declining income and rising expenses, a double whammy. 35% of enterprises reported an increase in transportation cost by a median of 20%. Transportation cost, because before the pandemic, everyone we have at least a two-wheeler, so we can easily shifting or transporting the goods and services from one place to another place. But in the pandemic period, the public transportation and as well as the individual transportation is stopped by the government. So the transportation cost increased, while urban enterprises reported a median 20% increase in transportation costs. Semi-urban and rural enterprises reported a 10% and 18% increase respectively. In rural areas, 63% of enterprises had to go and pick supplies themselves. Because before the pandemic, the suppliers, they used to supply the goods and services directly to the Msmes. But during the lockdown, they stopped since the government stopped the transportation. So 63% of enterprises, they have to go directly and they have to pick the supplies themselves. Moreover, about 75% of the women-owned enterprises mentioned that they now have to go and pick up all the supplies themselves. The men entrepreneur, those who are running Msmes, they can easily go and pick up their supplies. But how it is possible with the female entrepreneur, women entrepreneur? So this is the difficulty during the pandemic time. A grocery shop owner from a rural area, he told that we are incurring additional transportation costs to get the supplies on time. There is already a huge demand and supply gap in the market. Yes, during the pandemic, there was a huge gap between the demand and supply. If they want to run their shop, grocery shop, they have to go and pick their supplies from the suppliers. Okay. And another medical shop owner from a rural area, he revealed that whenever I call my distributors to deliver my supplies, they ask me to come to the warehouse and take the supply. This is not an option right now. So there was a huge gap between the demand and supply. So because of the supply, the income affected to MSMEs. When we will get more income, when we sell the goods and services to the people, that time only we will receive the income from our sales. But due to this pandemic, the supply is not there. So this is also one of the impacts. Next one is, while the overall income for MSMEs has reduced, panic buying or bulk buying from customers has mitigated the impact for some enterprises. Because the people, they stopped to buy the goods and services in bulk manner, in wholesale. Is holding a bad thing? Not for enterprise at least. The drop in income was relatively more common for female-owned enterprises compared to men. 82% of the enterprises owned by women reported a decline in income compared to 72% of enterprises owned by men. However, bulk buying has resulted in higher sales per customer. A median 40% increase for urban enterprises, 20% for semi-urban enterprises, and 15% for rural enterprises. However, the customer footfall has decreased for all enterprises in rural, semi-urban, and as well urban areas. Again, a medical shop owner from a rural area, he told that, I used to earn around rupees 5,000 to 7,000 per day. Now it is only 2,000 rupees per day. Actually, even my family also, we are running a grocery shop in my village. Still, nearly 45 years we are running a grocery shop in our village. My brother now he is taking care of the, he is running the grocery shop. So he used to tell me when I call him. So before in a rural area, in even if it is village, we had more sales, we had more income. But during this lockdown, he told that nearly 800 rupees or 1,000 rupees. Before that, more than 2,000, 3,000. And during the festival time, nearly 7,000 to 10,000, to be honest. But during this pandemic, the sales declined. Why? Because the people, they did not have money in their hand. Everyone, many of the people, they lost their job. A female tailor from a rural area, she told that these days I'm not able to get new orders from customers as they cannot travel to deliver cloths for stitching. The people, they couldn't come out from their house to give their cloth for stitching. So due to that, the business declined. The income declined for a female tailor from a rural area. Some of my customers have started buying in bulk now to stock up during the lockdown period. A tobacco and snacks trade based in urban area. So next one is a decline in the availability of supplier credits alongside pending receivables and an increase in the cost of supplies has hurt cash flows. This is most important, the cash flows. I think many of the students, you are coming from the business background. To run a business, we need cash flows, rotation basis. When we buy the goods and services from the suppliers, we will not pay immediately. We will keep as credits. We will sell the goods and services, and next supply, we used to give the money for the previous supply, the rotation basis, cash flows. The qualitative data suggests that receivable from customers are frozen on the one hand, and customers have stopped advance orders on the other hand. Qualitative data suggests that receivable from customers are frozen. They stopped to order the goods and services. The enterprises who reported an increase in cost of supplies also reported a median 50% reduction in business income. A tobacco trader from an urban area, he told that I had some customers who'd buy their pending credit on a weekly or monthly basis. It has been more than a month now since I have received any payments from them. How they will pay without money, without job? In rural areas, till today, as I already told you, we are running grocery shop in my village. The people, because most of the people, they are doing agricultural and allied activities. They are agricultural laborers, daily wages. They used to buy the grocery and the goods and services from our shop based on the credit basis. We used to follow a notebook, how much he is buying. So month-wise or weekly-wise, we used to collect the money. But now they stopped to clear their pending because of this pandemic. A motor part manufacturer from an urban area, he told that we can take care of the business for 1 to 2 months, but beyond that, it is not possible to bear the expenses. Our payments are already blocked. Whoever it is, we can run our business with 1 or 2 months with our savings, but after that, so he's telling that we can take care of the business for 1 to 2 months without an issue. But after 2 or 3 months, he's telling that it is not possible to bear the expenses because they have to take care of the business. At the same time, they have to take care of the family. Family expenses also there. Their children are studying. The children are studying. How they can manage the family expenses and as well as the business expenses. So next one is adverse cash flows along with increased household expenses have forced enterprises to dig in their savings. This is what I told in the previous slides. The MSMEs people, they're having family. They have to take care of the family. At the same time, they have to run their business simultaneously. Savings for survival. Enterprises that reported an increase in household expenses also reported a 45% decrease in business income. If we receive income from our business, we can run our family without any issues, without any interruption. But the income from business declined. At the same time, the family expenses increased during the lockdown because most of the traders, they were hoarding the goods and services. They sold out the goods and services at higher prices. So the MSME people, they are they faced difficulties to run their family with their savings. A sweet shop owner from an urban area, he told that my business closed down after the lockdown. My business closed down after the lockdown. Since only essential goods and medical shops are allowed to function, all my savings are being used to meet household expenses now. Because during the pandemic, the medical shops and the grocery, the necessity goods and services shop, they were allowed to run the shop. They were allowing to run the shop. And all other shops, they did not allow to run their shop. And whatever the savings they have, they are running their family with that savings. So they can manage with 1 or 2 months. After that, it's very difficult to manage without the income from their business. A female tailor from a rural area, we have family savings that we depend on. These emergency savings will last for only few months. I do not know how long the COVID-19 lockdown will continue. This is the majority of the case from the families. Still in urban area, the rural area, people are afraid how many years, how many months it will continue, how we can go to the jobs, how we can earn income. Last week, I spoke to my relative guy. He was about to cry. He couldn't manage his family. He has only one child. Now his wife is carrying second. He told that nearly 1.5 years, I did not have my job. He kept the jewels for mortgage. So this is the case of the rural area people. They are borrowing money from the lenders. A government trader from an urban, or I'm currently using my savings to meet my business expenses. I think I can sustain for 5 to 6 months, after which I will need support from the government and financial institution. Every Msms, every businessman, they are expecting the assistance from the government. They're expecting the help from the government. They need to give some subsidy. They need to do something for the Msms. So next, to cope with the crisis, enterprises have started looking for ways to reduce their business costs and increase their revenue. So this is the situation. What next? Whatever happens, life has to move. They have to think how to reduce their business expenses, and how to increase their revenue from the business. Is there scope for new possibilities? So entrepreneurs have started to stock easily accessible essential items that are in high demand among customers. Among 40% of enterprises reported increased safety and hygiene measures. A leather goods trader based in urban area, he told that I'm planning to start selling essential food items. I already have a license for this. This way, I will earn something during this lockdown. Also, after the crisis is over, I'm planning to offer some discounts to clear the whole stock. We have seen many cases during the lockdown. Even the IT employees, the IT companies and other companies, they downsized the employees. Before the pandemic, compared to the before and after pandemic, you can see while traveling in the road, there are many temporary shops, particularly for the food, biryani shops. The people, those who have lost their jobs, they started biryani shops or any other tiffin shop to meet their expenses. The entrepreneurs, they have started, they were running another business, but during the pandemic, the government did not allow to open the shop, and they started to sell other goods and services, some essential goods and services. 70% of my business expenses is staff salaries. So without getting income, how we can give the salary to our employees? Because of that, many of the companies, they have downsized the employees, not only in India, everywhere, even here also. In Oman, nearly 20% of the expatriates, they left from the country during the pandemic. Still, we are expecting. There are two reasons here in Oman. One is because of pandemic, and another one is the government, they are implementing Omanization. The government, they are implementing Omanization. They are removing the expatriates, that employment opportunities given to the local people. Around 1/4 of the enterprises have reduced their staff count to 0 to minimize cost. To reduce the expenses, to reduce the business expenses, as I already told you, nearly 70% of the business expenses is going for the staff salaries. So their main concern is, if we reduce the staff, at least we can save something, we can reduce the expenses. So each and every MSMEs owners, entrepreneurs, they are thinking in that way. 90% of entrepreneurs mention that if they have to keep paying staff salaries without taking their services, they may have to lay them off. Yes, here also in Oman, many of the people, they did not go for their job, and the companies, they told that without production, how we can continue your service. So this is the case in pandemic. So next one is seeking alternative option to manage short-term cash flows. As I already told you, whatever happens, life has to move. We cannot stag in that place. Seeking alternate options. What next? How we can earn? How we can manage our short-term cash flows? 20% of respondents borrowed from friends, neighbors, or relatives to meet the immediate needs of cash flow. There are many NGOs, they were helping to the needy people to meet their expenses. A few enterprises also reduced the volume and variety of goods they sell to cope with uncertain demand. This has helped them to cut costs and direct funds to meet their household needs. As I already told you, they stopped to sell the goods and services what they were running before the pandemic. They started to sell some other goods and services which is more important, which is necessary to the people to meet their household expenses. A garment trader from an urban area, he told that, I'm currently using my savings and have borrowed some money from my father to meet business expenses. I think I can sustain for 5 to 6 months, after which I will need support from the government. I have enough inventory for 2 months. Even manufacturing units engaged in essential commodities are running at 30% of the capacity. I will now buy raw material judicially based on the demand. A perforated steel sheet manufacturer from a semi-urban area, he told that. So next one is we need to concentrate how to maximize revenue and a no credit policy. 48% of male-owned enterprises reported an increase in the price of goods compared to 35% of women-owned enterprises. So compared to men and women MSMEs, entrepreneurs, 48% of male-owned enterprises reported an increase in the price of goods and services compared to 35% of women-owned enterprises. Even some of the MSME people, they used the situation. 15% of enterprises dealing in essential services mentioned a reduction in credit sales. A grocery shop owner from an urban area, he told that I'm in no position to offer any sales on credit to customers, even to my most loyal customers. They stopped. If we have more, we can give to some others. In Tamil, they used to say one palamoli proverb, Tanaku pohadan, tanamum dharmamum. So he told that I'm in no position to offer any sales on credit to customers because they want to meet their family expenses and as well the business expenses. If they give the goods and services on credit base, they cannot sustain for a long time. So now we are going to discuss about the measures, how we can overcome this pandemic with some measures. Use of digital media, a way out to revive the business. Social media for business. Nowadays, social media is more important tool to run a business. WhatsApp is the most preferred social media platform among MSMEs to run their business in the post-COVID-19 situation. They are doing home delivery if you order in WhatsApp. During the pandemic, my family, they were in India only. That time, my wife, she used to say that previously we used to go to the grocery shop directly and we used to purchase the goods and services, whatever we need. But during the pandemic, the grocery shop, that supermarket owner, he told that as per the government guidelines, don't come to the shop. Whatever you want, the supplies, you please write a list and send through WhatsApp, and we will send you back when you can come and collect your things. So during the pandemic, means WhatsApp is most preferred social media to run their business. They are using it widely to take orders from customers and to communicate with the suppliers. The use of WhatsApp is highest in urban areas and among men. Compared to rural area, the urban areas people, they used very much the social media to run their business. And next one is delivering through e-commerce websites like what we can say, the Flipkart, Amazon, like e-commerce websites. 10% of the respondents, most of whom are men in urban areas, have already established partnership with e-commerce players. Many of you experienced the grocery. They linked with e-commerce websites and they started to deliver their items. Uber Eats, Zomato, Swiggy, like that. It is helping local grocery stores to ensure the availability of essential supplies for consumers. And the next one is acceptance of digital payments has increased marginally. Hand to hand contacts. If we have, then the spread of COVID-19. So to avoid that, even the government also suggested the people to use the digital payments. You can see the comparison. You can see the results before pandemic and after pandemic. Before pandemic, people, they did not use much the cash application, the digital application like what's that? Suddenly I couldn't tell that. BIM or any other digital payment applications. But after the pandemics, even if you are drinking a tea for 10 rupees, nowadays the people used to pay through their application. The pandemic has led to increased adoption of digital payments across urban and rural areas. Over 60% of respondents have reported a decline in the proportion of cash transaction. The government also, they wants to promote the digital payments, not the cash transaction. However, most of the entrepreneurs continue to accept cash. This is either to maintain liquidity or to comply with customer demand for cash transaction, whatever it is. And recommendations. How we can recommend to overcome this impacts. Measures to support the income of MSMEs. Okay, so we need to adopt some immediate measures. We cannot wait for a long time. We need to do something immediately. We need to react immediately to meet our expenses, to receive the income from our business. So adopt immediate measures to boost the income and reduce the burden of expenses on MSMEs. Key insights. First one is the decline in demand together with the supply disruption has resulted in sharp decline in the income of MSMEs. Demand decline together with the supply interruption. So during the pandemic, supply also interrupted. At the same time, the demand also come down. It declines. Uncertainty around future income due to the spread of the pandemic and declining purchasing power among customers has endangered the survival of MSMEs. So the recommendation, we can suggest that provide direct benefit transfer to micro enterprises for 3 months to help them manage immediate expenses. The government, they need to think to provide the direct benefit transfers to micro enterprises, at least for 3 months. Here in Oman, when the pandemic started, the government announced to the bank to stop to collect the EMIs, those who have got loans, even for the personal loans, even for the car loans, whatever the loans. Immediately, the government announced to stop to collect the EMIs. Expand preference of procurement under government contracts. Provided MSMEs exist that can fulfill the market demand. Government contracts below rupees 10 crore in value should be reserved for micro enterprises and up to rupees 50 crore in value for small enterprises. Create an enabling environment for the MSMEs to ensure their participation in the bidding process for the contracts and remove the obstacles they face in procurement of bank guarantees, especially for micro enterprises. So these are the recommendations we can suggest to the government and as well as for the MSMEs. So next, what are the measures we can take to reduce the burden of expenses? So the key insights are the increase in transportation cost due to the COVID-19 pandemic has raised the overall business expenses for MSMEs. So again and again, the MSME people, they are telling that the transportation cost is very high to the pandemic, during the pandemic situation. MSMEs report challenges in managing household expenses due to adverse cash flows. So for these issues, the recommendation we can say that provide subsidy on utilities, that is electricity and water, particularly to enterprises engaged in manufacturing. So to reduce the burden of expenses for MSMEs, the government, they can provide the subsidies to utilities. For example, electricity bill, water bill, particularly to enterprises engaged in manufacturing. Already we affected with the pandemic. If the government impose the electricity bill as usual, they cannot repay, they cannot pay their bill. To be honest here, before pandemic, I used to give 150 Omani Riyal as my house rent. During the pandemic, once the COVID-19 pandemic started, my house owner, without asking, we did not ask anything. Without asking, he reduced the rent. Even the government also reduced the electricity bill, water bill, everything. If we have as usual income, we can pay that, we can meet the expenses. But because of this pandemic, everyone, they lost their job. Even though they have jobs, they were receiving half-month salary or 70% of salary, like that. So within that, they have to meet their expenses and as well as all these business expenses also. So it's very difficult to meet the expenses. So the government, they have to provide the subsidy on utilities, particularly for the manufacturing industry. Allow financial institutions to continue the loan moratorium on a case-to-case basis for at least another 6 months. We have seen many news. The entrepreneurs, they requested the government to stop mortgage, means loan repayment, at least for 6 months, since they do not have enough income. So as I already told you, here in Oman, the government immediately they announced to stop to collect the loan repayments. The government can further provide interest subvention on loans to micro and small enterprises through the Mudra scheme. So measures to boost access to finance. Banks, the recommendation, I will explain shortly, because due to running short of time, I should complete within the time period. So I will directly explain the recommendations. Banks should increase the existing limits on working capital to MSMEs by 35 to 50%. The government can provide credit guarantee on the extended limits, because all the MSMEs people, I'm not telling about the large scale industries, the MSMEs, they are expecting the assistance from the government. Government only can protect them, can save them. Promote collaboration of fintechs with the traditional financial institution to offer faster loans to MSMEs, which have limited business records or transaction trails. So before pandemic, if you want to get the loan from the bank or any financial institution, we must follow a lot of procedures. And the MSME people, most probably from rural area, they do not know how to fulfill their requirements, how to fulfill the forms, how to do the procedures. So the government need to consider to ease of the applications and other things. Okay, so next one is encourage banks to use business correspondence for credit check and KYC to deliver credit to rural MSMEs. And the next one, measures to promote digitization of MSMEs. Recommendation: expand the scope of the existing business immunity platform to cover information related to e-commerce and social commerce, digital payments, and alternate modes of financing, including those from the private sector. Introduce tax incentives for MSMEs for sales on e-commerce platforms. So next, measures to improve targeting of informal enterprises. Informal enterprises, those who have not registered properly. Ensure coverage of Shishu and Kishore loan borrowers under the Mudra scheme in all COVID relief packages. Almost all these borrowers are informal micro enterprises. Ensure simple process for unorganized enterprises registered under various national, state, and local governments to seek COVID specific cash transfers, because the government, they are offering the loan for the formal enterprises. They do not have any idea about the informal enterprises. So in the rural areas, there are a lot of informal enterprises located. So the government should think about the informal enterprises also. Local government bodies can be used to target informal and unregistered enterprises not covered about to offer COVID relief benefits. Okay, so these bodies, along with the third-party agencies or NGOs, can be used to collect data on unregistered MSMEs at the village or block level. So the NGOs also can join with the government and they can collect the data of unregistered and informal MSMEs, and they can give the data to the government to get the benefits. And the next one, measures to enhance the impact of policy. All MSMEs policies should accompany an action plan to ensure rapid implementation of these policies. Develop agile policies for the different phases of the COVID-19 pandemic along with existing strategies. Ensure monitoring systems for all the COVID relief measures are in place. This will help to assess progress and take corrective measures as needed. Okay, so these are the measures we must take to save the MSMEs from the pandemic. So this is my personal suggestion. as an academician, from my personal observation for the past 1.5 years, I can offer the following suggestion that the financial aid, as we already discussed, that the government should provide the financial aid, particularly to the MSMEs, not for the large scale industries. Then second one is finding opportunities. We don't think that we need to follow these things or this business only. So whatever it is, we must concentrate on the alternative or another opportunities to survive. We cannot die. We need to concentrate on alternative opportunities. And the special attention on self-employed and rural entrepreneurs. As I already told you, the government, they have to give the special attention on self-employed and rural entrepreneurs, because the urban entrepreneurs, they have more knowledge about the business, how they can get, how they can avail the benefits from the government compared to rural entrepreneurs. The next one is measures to defer utility and social security payments. So until the completion of COVID-19 pandemic, the government, they have to think about to give some subsidies on the utilities for 1 or 2 months or up to 6 months. Okay. Then last one is preparedness for the future. We need to go for the next level. So this is my personal suggestion as an academician. And thank you so much for the opportunity. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, sir, for the enlightening speech. You have indeed opened our eyes on the impact of the pandemic. And now the forum is open for questions. You can ask questions in the chat box. The audience can ask questions in the chat box. Now I request Ms. Srimati Ma'am, Assistant Professor, Department of Business Administration, to communicate the questions on behalf of the audience.
Good afternoon, everyone. So students have just posted certain questions in the chat box. I'll read out, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
The first question is, although MSc contributes 1/3 of our GDP, when compared to other countries, India is still slow in its progress. Why it is so?
Actually, we are agricultural based countries, but nowadays the trending is changed. The trend is changed because more than manufacturing, we are having more service sector. So due to that, what I can say that the progress is very slow. We have more services sector than manufacturing sector. If we have more manufacturing sector, no issue, but we are having more growth in service sector than manufacturing sector. Because of that, it is less growth now.
Thank you, sir. The second question is, what is the main reason for the credit gap in MSME sector?
Because of informalized. If we formalized, if we have more formalized sector, so the government can give the real benefits to the needy people. But here in India, compared to formalized, there are many unformalized MSMEs. Because of that, there is a credit gap.
Thank you, sir. The third question is, although MSMEs have emerged stronger after the COVID pandemic, there are a spectrum of challenges still in India. How this can be resolved?
We need to promote the digital technologies, and the government, they have to lend, they have to provide more financial assistance to the MSMEs.
Thank you, sir. The next question is, What is threats? There is an
Sorry, ma'am.
electronic. What is threats? There is an electronic platform.
Yes, ma'am.
They have asked what is threats.
Electronic platform for financing trade receivable. The trades means electronic platform for discounting trade receivable.
Oh, thank you, sir. The last question is,
Yes, ma'am.
what are the areas to be streamlined in the MSME sector?
MSMEs, as I already told you, we need to promote the digitalization, and we need to reduce the GST. We need to reduce the means what I can say that means taxes. We need to reduce the taxes for the MSMEs, and we need to ease to get the licenses for MSMEs. So these are the measures, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your valuable information, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. Once again, I thank you all. Thank you so much to invite me for this wonderful opportunity. And Dr. Marianand sir has said that Director sir and Dean sir, they are very supportive and dynamic leaders. You guys really very blessed to have such great people. Once again, I thank you very much from bottom of my heart to invite for this wonderful occasion. Thank you. Thank you so much, sir, to everyone.
Now I welcome Dr. Kesavan, Assistant Professor, Department of Business Administration, to deliver the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Jayashree. Thank you for your wonderful comparing throughout the session. Good afternoon, everyone. The most difficult part is vote of thanks, because I have to grab your attention to mention about the intention of this session, which was filled with perfection. So I take this wonderful opportunity to thank our Honorable Director, Academics, Dr. K. Subram sir, for his fabulous presidential address that particularly stressed upon skill development. And I express my gratitude for the most respected Dean, Dr. Ananda Padmanabhan sir, for his support in organizing this webinar. And I thank our head of the department, Dr. N. Marianand sir, for organizing such a knowledge-packed webinar for our newcomers. And I also extend my thanks for my respected colleagues and my dear future managers and CEOs. And finally, the hero of the day, Dr. E. Suresh, Assistant Professor of Economics, University of Applied Science and Technology, Oman. Thanks for your interesting session, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
This session covered major topics related to MSMEs, and you beautifully narrated their hardships during this pandemic. We are all surprised to know about the strategic plans for revival from government and all other possible sites. This webinar was an eye-opener for our students and gave an opportunity for our students to witness the economic perspective of MSME from an international faculty. Thank you for your valuable input, sir. We will cherish this knowledge forever. We thank all the participants for your kind cooperation. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you all for your participation.
Thank you all for the participants. Once again, I thank each and every one of you who participated, especially the technical team and Mr. Vivek from Assistant Professor, who helped us in making this function a grand success. Thank you one and all. You all can leave. Suresh sir, thank you so much.
Sir, I must thank, sir. Thank you so much to arrange
For a long time.
such a wonderful occasion.
Yeah.
We were planning to
Yep.
conduct this organization seminar,
Yeah.
but due to some academical work, I couldn't give that.
Okay, sir. No issue, sir.
As I
And Our director said that we are going to organize a few more international webinars, conferences, which
Definitely,
will be a
sir.
pleasure to have you on all such occasions.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.